This is the K95.3 Sports Show podcast, brought to you by the Fan Zone in Wilmer's Candy Mall.
Welcome to the K95.3 Sports Show podcast. My name is Bo Stamfus. I am your host. As usual, please hit the subscribe button if you like what you hear. And if you're on your cell phone, hit the bell button, and you'll get push notifications every Wednesday morning when I release the episodes around 9 o'clock. Also, thank you to the Fan Zone for sponsoring us. Appreciate what you guys do. Also, please stay tuned. At the end of the show, we have Brandon Zylstra interview coming up where he talks about his rookie season and his off season coming up. So please check that out at the end. This week, I have only one guest in here today. Our third guest couldn't make it last second, so Steve and me are going to try to talk hockey.
We're going to give it our best shot anyway.
Yeah, since our wild expert wasn't able to make it. But I have been paying attention for the last week, and it's been the best week to pay attention to the Wild because they have been trading like there is no tomorrow. They have made 3 trades in the last week.
3 trades? Well, that's making some moves.
Yeah, man. Yeah. It's nothing too big, but but that's what makes a team. A team is not all about superstars. You got to have the glue in between, which is the bit players and the third liners and stuff like that. So.
And honestly, things have been kind of stale lately, just a little bit with the Wild. But I think they did need to make a few moves to try to get a little bit higher in the standings. But it's not like they're down too far. They are third in the Central right now. So
yeah, it's very similar to the NBA playoffs. There's just a huge amount of people within just a handful of points or wins, as in the NHL or as in the NBA, between playoffs and not playoffs. So. That's what I like about the hockey too. With that, is always seems to be a bottleneck there for the playoffs, and it makes the last couple of weeks of the NHL so fun. So let's kind of jump into this a little bit. So one of the trades we picked up a guy from Anaheim, Pontus Aberg.
Yep.
Pontus Aberg.
Yep, that's right.
I had to go on YouTube and find him scoring a goal to hear how the announcer says his name, because I could have gone anywhere. But I think out of the 3 trades, this is probably my favorite one. We did give up arguably our top AHL guy, but apparently they liked what they saw.
I think there was a little bit of a money issue there, too, when it came to Nino Niederreiter. I think they were trying to free up a little bit of money. They get a little bit of a younger guy. He's not too much younger. I think he's maybe a couple years younger than Nino. But
the Victor Rask from Carolina. Yeah, that's one that was kind of a weird trade, too. Is they're kind of just trading overpaid player for overpaid player in a way, from what I saw, and because Victor Rask has only got 1 goal on 5 assists in 26 games. He cut his finger early in the year,
right?
But they're signed for about the same amount of time. I think Rask is 1 more year, but we're saving $1.25 million a year.
Right.
And I know a lot of us liked Nino, and he'd been around forever, but inconsistency, and once again, I think, like you mentioned, just kind of the staleness of it.
Right.
We've had the main core group of the Wild together for a while now, and we just can't get over that hump. Or we had the season a few years ago where we were the number 1 seed and then just choked. So, it's difficult. But the Rask one is going to be interesting. I already saw he's been put at third-line center, and they moved Coyle to right wing. And, we'll see what happens with that. Back to the Aberg trade, too. I mean, he's the more interesting one because he's got 11 goals on 8 assists.
I always like to see new blood on the ice anyway, just switches things up a little bit, kind of, it does mess with the team chemistry, but, hey, it's the pros. What are you going to do? Guys get cycled out a lot.
Yeah, so. It's the business side of professional sports. And so I like what he's got. From what I heard about Pontus, I was kind of looking up some stuff. Let's see here. Well, he's he hasn't been consistent, but when he has played well, he has done really well. From what I see, from what I've heard, speed and skill.
Yeah, that's one. I think that was one of the main reasons that Boudreaux wanted him on the team too. And who's the GM? Paul Fenton.
Yep.
That's the GM. So I'm sure that's what they were looking for there as well. So
yeah, and I'm all about getting more speed on the team. Very very Zucker-esque with his speed and from what I heard though is that Aberg is not very good on the defensive side, and that's actually why the Ducks coach Carlisle benched him for 4 games.
Right.
Straight because
Right.
he's not consistent on the defensive end, but once again a change of scenery. Well, I'd say a change of scenery, but he's been on like 4 teams in like 4 years, and
scenery's been changing a lot. For
yeah,
him,
yeah, exactly. Maybe just finding the right one, but you talked about our GM. He was the assistant GM at Nashville when they picked him when they drafted
Aberg.
Yep, Aberg. So that'll be fun. Then we. What was funny about the Aberg trade is that we happened to have been playing Anaheim that night, so he just literally walked across and put on a Wild jersey and played against his own team.
How weird would that be?
Yeah.
Man.
And something very similar happened again just a few days later because we traded for Brad Hunt from Vegas, and that happened like right after the game. He couldn't quite make the team flight. It happened a little bit beyond that, but that happened right after the Vegas game.
Yeah, I did hear something about that. Yeah, he missed a flight. He couldn't play in that first game, but
Yep. So he's got 2 goals, 5 assists. Sounds like he's an offensive D-man. And they said, let's see what here. Let me find some. See AHL in the AHL, his numbers are 209 points in 287 games, and he's only played 13 NHL games with 2 goals and 5 assists.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good. Let's see. I'm trying to find a quote I had here talking about to see.
I know Twitter's been blowing up about this guy for the last few days too. So
yeah. He basically was saying that that Hunt will automatically be on the power play. That he's going to play, and he's going to play the power play, and then he'll probably play with Brodin on the defense. So I think that was we're kind of looking for a scoring defensive man. Since Dumba dropped, and Dumba was having a great season, just an unbelievable season.
He's still pretty high up there in the. As far as the goals, goals scored here in this season. Parisi obviously leading everything with 20 goals this year, but
yeah, he's been killing it.
Yeah.
So we'll see how these. Like I said, none of these trades are going to make us an instant contender, but they're the bit players that you need on a team to make a team successful.
Right. The tools are all there. All the players we need to get to the Stanley Cup are there. We just got to get everything together and get something rolling. And we got to do it like pretty much right now.
Exactly. And so we'll see how these trades play out. But I do like the overall. If you lump them all together, I like the overall ones. I'm higher on Aberg and Hunt. Rask I feel is very is a wild card. You don't know what to expect from him. So
right.
Let's see. Let's go ahead and talk about our rookie sensation. I don't know if we can call him a rookie sensation. Jordan Greenway. 9 goals, 7 assists, -4 on the year. He's been surprisingly consistent. He's been working harder than a lot of people expected. I believe he's like 8th or 9th in rookies for goals. So that's a positive too. And I think that's one thing the Wild have never really had is just that surprise player that comes out of nowhere and just becomes a huge goal scorer. So I'm interested to see how he continues, because he was a 2nd rounder, so I guess he wasn't like a 6th rounder or something like that, but so he has the talent. But it's nice just to see somebody coming in and actually playing well to start off his career.
Right, and they obviously have a lot of confidence in him too, because they put him in almost every single game this season.
Yep.
He's got just as many games played as anybody else in that first that starting 5. So
Yep. Yeah. No. He's. The potential is great so far, and I'm looking forward to seeing the other half of the rest of the season here and seeing what he can do to continue to build it up a little higher. And so Well, that's another one of those things. It's continue to watch and so far, we'll jump into Parise. You mentioned Parise, 20 goals, 23 assists, plus 4 overall. I mean, he's having a resurgence this year.
Definitely, and that's exactly what the fans wanted to see out of him too. Because kind of sketchy last year, just a little bit.
Yeah. He's played 6 more games this year than he did last year because of his injury, but he's got 5 more goals and he's got 14 more assists.
Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people forget too that this guy's he's still young. It's like he's just I think he's just now kind of hitting his stride in the NFL too. So, which hopefully the Wild decide to keep him around for a while.
Yeah. I think how long does when is his, I don't see it on here because, they signed that huge contract. I can't remember how long he still has because this is his 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is his 7th season, and I think they were like 10 or 11-year contracts, I believe. So we got a few more, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, it's already better than his year in 2016, 2017, and he's already almost better than his 2015, 2016 season. So, when he's healthy, it just shows when Parise is healthy, he is a top offensive player in the NHL, and that is going to be it's fun to see him when he's like that. Mm-hmm. We need that player. We need that offensive juggernaut.
Yeah, and we need that consistency too when it comes to our players, because we got other guys like Mikael Granlund and Sutter, and those guys are both the same way as far as consistency goes. Yep. We can count on those guys. We just got to rotate these other players through, and just got to make something happen.
Yeah, and with the way Zucker has come around too, that's been huge. I think he's a little down this season. He hasn't been consistent. I mean, he's got 13 goals and 11 assists, but you need those goal scorers, and that's something the Wild have never really had for their. They've never had just that ultimate goal scorer.
Yeah,
that top 10 player.
Sidney Crosby.
Yeah. I mean,
somebody like that. Parise, he's good. He's comparable. I think.
He has that. Yeah, he has that potential, and the way Stahl played last year, he was doing that well. So, it's just been so up and down with the Wild this year. They as most Minnesota sports, they play up and they play down to their competition. I saw this since Christmas. Wild are 6-1 versus teams with 59+ points. And they're 2-5 against sub 59-point teams.
That seems to be a theme with Minnesota teams. Period.
Just fill in the blank. Just fill in the blank of whatever Minnesota sports team, and that equals it. But which is crazy too, because they had a great win last night against Vegas. I didn't realize this. The Wild are 4-0-1 versus Vegas.
Yeah, we got their number.
Isn't that just how can this team just dominate everybody else? But it's just weird how that happens. That's what I love about sports. Just these weird things that happen that you just scratch your head like that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, doesn't matter how good Vegas is either. We still got them.
Yeah,
so.
4-0-1. It's just nuts. I just love that those types of stats like that. So. We would have liked to have talked Wild a little bit longer today, but like I said, I was kind of hoping for our Wild expert to help us out a little bit, but go ahead.
Hate to stop you. I got something a little interesting here. I just found out that today is actually the day that the Wild made their debut. It was into professional hockey. This is when we first.
Oh, they got announced that we're getting
21 years to today. Oh, Minnesota adopted they got the Minnesota Wild name on that day. Yeah, so 21 years today. Yep. This day back in 1998. That's how long they've been around already.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny. Some of the other names that were considered, of course, they took in 13,000 fan votes or something like that. And some of the other names were the Freeze, the Northern Lights, the Blue Ox, the White Bears, the Voyageurs, and, of course, the Wild. And I don't know if I would have – I guess I would have picked the Wild out of those ones as well.
Yeah, what was the second one? It was the
Northern Lights.
Northern Lights? Yeah. Maybe it's because we've been so used to calling them Wild that they all sound horrible anyways. But yeah. And the Blue Ox, no, that wouldn't have been a good one.
Minnesota Freeze, I guess, has kind of a nice ring to it. But White Bears, that was a weird one.
Why White Bears? Yeah.
Then Voyageurs,
because of all the white bears we have here in Minnesota.
Yeah.
If I had $1 for every time I saw a white bear, I'd be broke as hell right now. But so we'll continue to watch as the season goes, and from now on the show, I will be having wild people on each week. Hopefully, I've got some new ones coming up here in the next couple of weeks as we get throughout the NHL season. Let's go ahead and talk. Let's talk NFL playoffs a little bit. I think.
Here we go.
Yeah, here we go. Let's talk a little NFL playoffs here. Obviously, we got to talk about the glorious non-call in the Saints game. I mean, there was not a single Vikings fan that feels sorry for the Saints, especially Peyton.
It's the consensus seems to be. I was just kind of working my way around. Of course, I was at the Wilmer VFW the other day, and that's what everybody was talking about all the way around the entire bar. A lot of people there, and you're right. The consensus is New Orleans got robbed. Do Minnesota fans feel bad?
No.
It's
always fun to waddle in other people's misery because as Vikings fans, we're so used to it.
Right.
They were just like yeah. Next time you make fun of us, remember this feeling. That's us all the time.
Yeah, that's bad luck. It struck the Bears, now it struck the Saints. It's like, if we didn't make the playoffs, but having that happen to both those teams is almost as good.
Yeah, exactly. That was perfect. So, and I'm just gonna. I've been pointing out to people, that you can complain all you want about that non-call, but Peyton was wrong for throwing at all inside the 15.
Right.
You have the number one running back duo in the NFL for the past 2 years in your backfield. The defense has 2 timeouts. It's a 2-minute warning. You run the ball 3 times in a row, and you could they could have still gotten a first down, I believe, inside the 5. So pound it with Kamara. Then depending on how close you are, if you need a little more of a bowling ball aspect, then you bring them in and you just it just didn't make no sense. And I saw guys say, "Oh, anybody complain about putting the ball into a top 5 quarterback of all time is well." He did, and he had a horrible first throw to Thomas.
Yeah.
And even the throw that with the non-call wasn't the best throw.
No.
I mean, Kamara had to turn around, and he was kind of backpedaling with the ball coming at him. So Peyton outsmarted himself, which is great because that's his greatest strength.
And I think a lot of people are missing the fact, too, that, the Saints didn't lose strictly because of that no call. There was on the pass interference that it certainly didn't help many, though,
Yeah. They had their opportunities afterwards with overtime. They shouldn't have punched in a couple of their touchdowns there early instead of settling for field goals. So it's
they let the Rams back in the game. So they made their bed.
Yep. It's been fun watching them cry. That's all I can say.
So with all that controversy that you hear today, people are bringing up all this stuff about they're calling it Rule 17, Section 2, Article 1.
Yeah,
Roger Goodell.
Michael Thomas posted that on Twitter that he could actually go back and start the game over and stuff like that. It'll never happen. That's literally opening the largest Pandora box ever. And once that's even cracked open, you can't close it ever again.
Right. Well, did you hear about just this afternoon, 2 New Orleans Saints fans, season ticket holders, actually filed a lawsuit now to order the NFL commissioner to try to reverse the results of the game. One of the lawyer for these 2 guys says, "Why is there a rule if it's never going to be implemented?" Which
it's actually a solid point.
It's a good argument.
Yeah, that's just. But still,
yeah. Is it going to happen? No way.
No.
No way. That's too much.
Yeah. It's ridiculous, but it's like you guys lost. It sucks. Not really, but it sucks for you guys that you lost.
Yeah.
Starting with the Minneapolis Miracle last year, followed up by the no call. Just digging it. Just digging it in them. I love it. I love it. So, anything else on the Saints Rams game at all? Otherwise, we'll jump to the Patriots game. Do you have anything else to talk about? No.
Nope.
Right.
We can go right to the Pats.
Yeah. Well, geez, that's another one. 2 great games. Great games. I asked for it all week. I was like, because the divisional playoff games were horrible, just absolutely horrible, one-sided. So it was great to have first time ever both championship games going into the overtime. Only the second time the AFC has ever gone into overtime. And it was just a great game too there. You know, it was kind of low scoring for the first 3 quarters. In the fourth quarter, both defenses were either tired or finally they both figured each other out. But I mean, it was just points after points after points.
Yeah, I think it was kind of a series of mistakes on the KC side that kind of contributed to that. And of course, you know, one of the things I was waiting for was whose head is going to roll for this. And today, it was the defensive coordinator, Bob Sutton. They canned him today.
Yeah, I saw that just before we went on. Yeah, well.
It was because the KC, they couldn't buy a third down.
No.
Third down stop, you know. They couldn't buy it.
That overtime drive, there was 3 third downs over 8+ yards that they gave up.
Right.
You can't. That's just horrible. But then again, if Ford on the defensive line wouldn't have lined up offsides,
right,
we wouldn't have been talking about it. We'd be talking about a Kansas City LA Rams game for Super Bowl because of that tipped ball interception that happened on it.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
That's just those mistakes. That's another Viking mistake. That's something we would do. That's something that would happen to us. The bad pass interference, non-call, and then that. 2 things that would have happened to Vikings fans, Vikings teams, and we would have had to deal with. But, you know, Super Bowl's coming up then. And I think it's going to be a good game. I hope it's a good game. You know, God.
It's going to be a good game.
That damn Belichick. Belichick, geez, this is by far his best year.
There's a lot of Patriot haters.
This
time around, probably more so than in years past. I think because I don't know if people are just sick of seeing the New England Patriots.
That's it.
It's like you're good or you're good. You know.
Yeah, we get it. You're great.
Yeah,
and let's get over it.
Well, it's you know, of course, you know, it's hard to deny that this record that they've got going. To me, my personal opinion, that pretty much cements them in the history books as probably the greatest football dynasty ever.
Yeah,
that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
Others may not agree, but
it's tough. He's Belichick's definitely the GOAT.
Yeah,
I stop a little bit with Tom Brady calling him the GOAT just because I feel Brady needs Belichick more than Belichick needs Brady.
I would put Brady in the top 5.
I would too.
Number 1? No.
I've always been a Montana guy.
Yeah. Yep.
If you made me choose a GOAT, I would say Montana.
Yeah.
And you know, it's just I don't know.
There's so many guys that you could fill in there too. I mean, Marino, Brett Favre, another guy, you know.
Yep.
I hate to say it. Aaron Rodgers is probably top 10. I wouldn't put him top 5. I'd put him in top 10 though.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep. No, it's been we'll have to. Yeah, I don't know. And what's funny thing too is that of course this is a rematch of the Patriots' first Super Bowl win against the Rams.
0-2.
Yep. And I was cheering for the Patriots then because we hated the Rams.
Yeah, and guess who the quarterback was?
Yep, because that was during our time. You know, they knocked us out of '99 and they kind of stopped us from going anywhere in the playoffs those few years after '98. So yeah, I was happy as hell when Vinatieri hit that field goal to win the game. But now I've OD'd on Patriots for several years. I've been dead from the OD several years ago on Patriots.
I thought it was kind of cool that, or kind of curious that the score from that game back in 2002 was 20-17, and that's a 3-point win for the Patriots, and that's exactly what the Vegas odds makers have the Patriots at right now, are 3-point favorites.
Nice.
So I don't know if they based it on that the last time they took the Rams on. I don't know. There's something going on, but I think it's probably just because of that high power offense the Rams have going. Hopefully they can get Gurley. You know,
yeah, that was weird how he totally
more.
Disappeared in the Saints game. Yeah, that was very weird.
Yeah.
But well, let's kind of wrap it up here. What do you got for winner? Who do you got for winner?
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. If I was gambling man, I'd go for the Rams, but I think the Patriots are going to wrap it up. Brady's getting number 6.
Yeah, I have a feeling. I kind of agree there. I think the Patriots are going to win. Man, do I want the Rams to win, but I have a feeling Patriots are going to pull it off. You know, like I just don't want to bet against them.
Yeah.
But I'll be cheering for Rams and hope they win. But
no, I there's part of me that wanted to see Pat Mahomes in there as well, based on the season that he had. You know, he should have capped it off with a Lombardi Trophy, but this wasn't meant to be. I guess. You know.
Yeah. Well, we got a couple more. We got not quite 2 weeks of hype to go still before we get to the Super Bowl. So we'll be seeing plenty of that, and we'll talk a little bit more about it maybe next week with my guest that I'll have on next week. But But right now, we're going to go to the Brandon Zylstra interview that I just did with him, talking about reviewing his rookie season with the Vikings and kind of talking about his offseason. So here is the interview with Brandon Zylstra. Hey, Brandon, thanks again for visiting with me and the K95 Sports Show listeners. I appreciate you taking time out of your schedule for that.
Yeah, no problem, Bo.
Awesome. Well, your first NFL season is over. What are your thoughts on it? Was it what you expected?
There's definitely some aspects that you expected, but overall, it was definitely a learning year, kind of adjust to everything, just kind of learn how everything's ran, what's kind of expected from you. It was definitely a learning year.
Yeah, I can imagine just trying to pick up the different game speed and just dealing with the elite of the elite of football, I would assume.
Exactly.
Nice. So obviously since we last talked, you guys gotten a new offensive coordinator. You guys are familiar with him, obviously, because he was on the team all year and he's been on the team for a long time. So now that Stefanski is the official new OC, tell us about him. What do you like most about him? What makes him maybe different, or what do you like better than other coordinators or other coaches that you've worked with?
The thing I like about Stefanski is just like a really, just a guy who just is really chill, to be honest. I'm trying to think of a better adjective, but that's just the one that kind of comes to mind. Just kind of lets things come as they do. Doesn't try to, throw the kitchen sink at us when we're going through our game plan or anything. Tries to keep it fairly simple, just so we can play fast, play confident, and then, not throw too much in so we can make adjustments during the game. And, I thought that was it was definitely a change up from, earlier in the year. I'm not saying it's better or worse, but we seem to respond to it well. So it'll be interesting to kind of see how much of that is going to come into play again next year. If he's going to have the same structure to it, or if he plans to add a little bit on. So it's still going to be a learning and adjustment process for the beginning of the year. But we do have OTAs and training camp to kind of get a good understanding of what he wants and his expectations. So.
Yeah, no, awesome. Yeah, no, I'm excited that they decided to go with Stefanski. I felt he was ready. He's been around the team for forever. He knows the players, and I thought it was a right move to add him in. Now, if that wasn't enough, the Vikings decided to add Gary Kubiak to the table. What was your initial thought when you heard that?
I immediately texted my good football friend, guy who kind of knows everything. Just a friend growing up, whatever, and just kind of knows everything about everybody. And I was just like, so what do we think of the hire? And he's just like, man, that's super exciting. You're going to bring in a great run game and stuff. Because,
yep.
I obviously know who Coach Kubiak is, but I don't know too much about him. And that's why I went to my friend Ryan and was kind of asking about the details. And he was pretty excited for it. Since he was excited, I'm excited.
Nice. Yes. Yeah, no, I was too. I mean, anytime you can, add a Super Bowl winning head coach to any part of the team is usually a positive. The only really question I had, maybe possibility, and I think as a fan, and I've heard some other fans mention it, is they worry about maybe if Stefanski or Kubiak kind of start butting heads maybe on some things. I mean, to me, that'd be something to worry about. Is that something the players worry about, or you just kind of take what's put in front of you and let the background stuff do the background stuff?
That's exactly it. That's not something I don't think we're even going to think twice about. We're going to listen and do what they tell us to do, and everything else is out of our control. So that's not something we're going to worry about even this place. But
okay. Hey, no. Hopefully we don't. There is none of that in the background. You always worry when you have the alpha dogs all in the same area. What's going to happen? So it's going to be exciting. Like I said, if like you mentioned the run game, your friend mentioned the run game, that'll be huge. And you saw what he did for Peyton Manning on the down part of his career and what he can do to help Cousins and everybody else around him too. So that is going to be fun to see next year. Let's go ahead and we're going to jump into a couple just get to know Brandon type questions. And so here's just kind of a fun one here. If you could only eat one thing for the rest of your life, what would it be?
That's tough. My favorite food is like hot wings and French fries. But if I'm stuck with one thing, I'm probably picking pizza.
Oh, there we go.
The
lot more variations.
Exactly. You can make it a breakfast, you can make it dessert,
Yep.
You can change it up quite a bit. So I'd probably have to pick pizza.
Yeah, no, I would think I'd have to agree with you. That's, and my son already agrees with you. That's all he eats. So, all right, it's awesome. Now, one other one. We really didn't talk about your college thing, so this might play into this. But if you were not playing football, what would you be doing, or what would you want to be doing as a job?
As a job, I honestly have no idea. And that's honestly one of the reasons why I wanted to play football, because I have no idea what I want to do with my life yet. I'm just going to keep playing football. That's what I know. That's what I'm good at. So I'm just going to keep pursuing this as long as I can.
So you just kind of took generals through college, or did you?
Well, I studied exercise science and nutrition.
Okay.
But again, I studied that because I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I was like, oh, this is going to help me, within my football career. Because I always kind of thought about being like a trainer, opening up my own gym and stuff. And now that I've been around it for so long and playing gyms and stuff, I would kind of question if I still want to do that.
Okay.
But I don't know. I enjoy water skiing, so maybe something to do with that. Something with just water sports in general.
Okay. Nice. So, obviously, it's the off season. Obviously, and we've got the few team activities and that you still have to go back and forth to before even get to preseason. But break down your off season for me. What are your plans for the off season? Do you work out? You always hear players getting together and working out together. Do you what are your plans for the off season and just to get yourself ready for next season and to make yourself better?
Yeah, it's going to be fairly similar to last year. I feel like I had a good structure to my off season last year. So I'll be still working out here in Minneapolis. I'll be working out with Adam Thielen again.
Okay.
For majority of the off season. That's 4 or 5 times a week.
Oh, nice.
And then just kind of throughout these next 4 months, I'll be taking a few different trips. Hopefully down to Florida, back out to Cali to go with some of my Edmonton Eskimo teammates that are still out there. And we've talked about meeting up to train. There's just, there's so many guys out there, so it's pretty easy to find people to run with and throw with. So it's just really a lot of that. Trying to enjoy my off time for a little bit before, my time gets consumed again.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's it's nice to take a physical and mental break, I would assume, on the football season.
Long season.
Yes, very much so. And, speaking of the season being long, it's coming to a wrap here. In the next couple of weeks. And so do you watch the playoffs? Did you watch the games this weekend?
Yes, I watched both those games.
So we got to talk about everybody's talking about then, which of course I think as a Viking fan and as both of us as Viking fans, we might snicker a little bit about the horrible missed call in the Saints game. How do players react to that on the sideline or in the locker rooms afterwards? I mean, do a lot of them really grab on to those missed calls like that, like say us fans tend to do, or are you guys able to kind of just brush them off a little easier?
I mean, it's definitely not hard to brush it off because that determines the rest of their season. That some people say that changes a lot of people's lives.
Yep.
Coaches, because now who's going to be there next year. So that can change a big course of everybody's kind of future. But at the same time, you can't think about it like that. I mean, this is at least how I think about it. You can't think about, the one player. Because coaches always say, you hear this growing up, that, there's 6 plays that really determine the outcome of a football game, and that was just one of the 6.
Mm-hmm.
So it's tough to put it all in the one play. But, I mean, it's tough for Saints fans, for sure.
Yeah. But you enjoyed it as a Vikings fan who watched 09, though, a little bit, didn't you? The phantom pass interference on Lieber, the high-low, the Brady rule that Favre went through, that he threw the interception on.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was wondering how the players kind of took that. So, obviously, we got Patriots, Rams next in 2 weeks for the Super Bowl. Who you got and why?
I mean, it's tough to root against Tom Brady. I mean, he's been doing it for so long, and you look at his resume, and it's just unbelievable. So it's honestly kind of hard to root against somebody like that. But the Rams have a stacked team. They did a great job this year. Sean McVay is he seems like a super cool coach that, you know, is in with it with the players, and you know, they have a lot of veteran experience over there. But I just can't see myself rooting against Tom Brady. Or betting against Tom Brady, I should say.
There we go. So yeah, I wouldn't bet against. I can root against Tom Brady, but I would never bet against Tom Brady.
Exactly. That's what I'm.
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm sitting at too. You know, I would argue with the type of season that the Patriots had, and just who they had to play in the playoffs. I feel that this was arguably one of the better coaching jobs that Belichick did in a season. I mean, he, you know, love him or hate him, he proved why he is the GOAT. And when it comes to coaching, because I mean, what they did to the Chargers, that when everybody was riding high on the Chargers, surprised me. It was amazing. It was masterful. So, you know, I'd like to see somebody new win it with the Rams, but you know, they're young and stuff, so they got other years to do it maybe. So maybe that'll they can win.
Time will tell now.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be fun. So, well, awesome. You know, that's all I got for you, and I appreciate you joining us here again on the K95.3 Sports Show podcast on YouTube. And you know, I wish you luck in the off season, and hopefully when we can work out something where we can talk again when the preseason starts sometime, and maybe throughout the season again next year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thanks again.
Yeah, thanks, Bo.
All right. Well, that was the interview with Brendan Zylstra. Thank you guys for joining me this week. Once again, make sure you subscribe, hit the bell, comment if you have any, if you disagree with what we're saying, or if you agree with what we're saying. Please like the videos, and we will see you next week.